Hey there, oldies. Welcome to That Old Soul Show, or as I like to call it, TOSS. I'm your host, Sarah McVicker, here to celebrate timeless tunes, iconic videos, and groundbreaking films. This is the show for the old souls with fresh takes, diving into the classics we love and the visionary art that made us feel something. So, grab your headphones, turn up the volume, and let's vibe through the rhythms, reels, and stories that make life unforgettable. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Diva Day. If you can't tell by the title, it's all about Mariah Carey today. I figured it was time for me to just go ahead and spew my love for her on this camera. And we'll get into the nitty gritty of why I love her so much. I mean, it's Mariah Carey. Like, I can't go wrong. And since it's also the season finale, I'm going to miss you guys. But I also just wanted to say that I'm super grateful if y'all have tuned in to every single episode and just listened to my musical memoir, so to speak, and communicate with y'all and just share my thoughts on music and music videos and a little bit of film. Next season, though, we're definitely going to dive more into film. And while I'm on a little hiatus, I will be writing blogs for you guys on some of the different films that I've been watching, music I've been tuning into. I might do a Substack. I hear that's the thing right now. So we'll see. I don't know what I'm going to do just yet, but I, of course, will keep you guys informed on all social media platforms. So if you're not already following me on Starring S.E. McV on Instagram and TikTok, but also follow the show. That Old Soul Show is on TikTok and Instagram as well. And she's a little baby, but she growing. Okay, she growing. Also, too, I want to shout out, I'm making mugs, you guys. Okay. And I have to say, if you don't already know, I'm a Taurus. And so the green is there. I have affirmations at the top. And of course, these gorgeous flowers. Why am I making mugs? Well, I made mugs before I started doing TOSS as a little other side project called Serene Soul. So if you guys ever want to listen to my voice a little more calmly and me guiding you through, I am smart, I am beautiful, I am brave, things like that, definitely check out Serene Soul. I'll link it down in the description below. But yeah, it's just affirmation videos with rain sounds. And so with that, I went on this venture of like, I need a creative outlet. I'm a creative, right? This is how I live. This is how I breathe. Creativity is how I do anything. And so making mugs is kind of how I did that. So I have an Etsy store if you're interested. If that's something you're into, definitely get more into affirmations. They've really been helping my life and shaping my life, and also just practicing gratitude every single day. So again, I'm just super grateful that y'all are here, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for TOSS and other ventures that I have coming up that, of course, y'all will hear about soon through the Starring Entertainment grapevine. But enough about me and plugging myself. Let's have some fun today, okay? It's Mariah Carey Day, okay? It's Diva Day. So, of course, as y'all know, we got to have a little trivia. And today's trivia is none other than, well, obviously about Mariah Carey. Duh. That's why we're all here, right? So, the question that I have for y'all today is, which item of Marilyn Monroe does Mariah Carey own? And of course, a little context, little backstory. Just like myself, diamonds really are a girl's best friend, and pearls too, if you're like me and you just, you're into that vibe. But Mariah Carey really loves Marilyn Monroe. Obviously, she owns something of hers, right? And it shows in her branding. Okay. It's, if y'all haven't seen the music video for Up Out My Face with Nicki Minaj, and if you just don't know Mariah Carey in general, like now, if you know she's super obsessed with Marilyn the way I'm obsessed with her, I think it makes sense why she's like a little bit of a diva, but we love her for it. Okay. So again, which item of Marilyn Monroe does Mariah Carey own? Is it a famous dress she wore, her baby grand piano, a huge diamond ring, or one of her portraits? Well, I'll let y'all know at the end of today's episode which item she owns. But before we dive super deep into Mariah Carey, I have to share with y'all what I've been tuning into lately. And since I haven't been with y'all in quite a little minute, since the last time I said it was a quite little minute, here's the thing. The stuff that I'm about to tell y'all, yeah, I've been tuning into this, but I've been tuning into other stuff too. So I'll try to throw in some others, but I probably won't elaborate on them as much. But the first song you could say that I've really been tuning into lately is Who Threw the Whiskey in the Well by Lucky Millinder. Now, where do I even begin? I discovered this song a few months ago and it's a vibe, okay? Let me tell you, my old soul heart just yearns for songs like this, okay? So really and truly, I adore the big band sound and the background vocals that sound like a choir. And you could say really bring this song to life. I can envision the storyline so clearly and who really did throw the whiskey in the well and por qué? Why? Baby, why would you do that? Why would you do that? We need all the fire water, okay? All of it. Let me stop playing with y'all. But anyway, moving on to another song that is on my radar or reintroducing on my radar. Cause y'all know how like sometimes you'll be jamming for a song on repeat. Like right now, my song on repeat is Dandelion by Ariana Grande. Baby, first of all, finger clap because she put her big toe in that. Well, hell, she put her whole toe, her whole foot in that song. Beautifully written. Okay. And then the background vocals, blow this. Listen, don't get me started. I'm sorry. Yeah. I told y'all it's a song. It's a vibe. But anyway, I rediscovered a song and that is Keep It Cute by Maya the Dawn. This song was popping a few years ago on TikTok. And I think she had another song too that was viral on TikTok. First of all, mama thick, okay? And mama cute. So she keeping it cute, okay? Now, I hadn't heard this song, like I said, in a really long time. And I kind of just had my phone on shuffle and this song played. And I was like, oh my God, I ain't heard this song in a minute. You know what I'm saying? So needless to say, I've been replaying it quite often because you always got to keep it cute, keep it sexy, you know, sexy. Sometimes you just need your ratchet jams. Okay. There is nothing wrong with your ratchet music. Listen, play what you want to play within reason. And when I say within reason, listen, no shade, all love. But one time I went to the lake, first time I ever went to the lake. We was jamming, we was having a good time. But like, sometimes I think about my surroundings. And with that, I think about children and I think about children's parents. And so for me, there's songs that you bump in the comfort of your home and in the comfort of your car and while you jamming with the little scrubby scrubs in the tub. Listen, I was uncomfortable, to say the least, with the music a friend of a friend was playing and blasting so loudly with all these little babies around. I don't know. Maybe that's just the motherly nature in me. I just couldn't handle it. I was uncomfortable. And we was getting looks. Okay. And when I start getting looks, and it's, hey, me, it ain't my fault. I ain't do it. Who gonna believe you, boo? You in with the crowd doing the wrong thing. Okay. Guilty by association. So, yes. If you haven't heard Keep It Cute, play that song. Okay. Keep it cute and keep it sexy. All right. Play your ratchet music. Okay. Now, again, on the other opposite end of the spectrum, I told you I be listening to any and everything. When I need a moment to center myself, and again, the affirmations, I love me some Jhené Aiko. And I'll never forget the day I saw that woman in concert. That's another story for another day. But that was a climb. Okay. And I'll share that story. I might share it on my socials, but Calm and Patient has been an anthem for me lately. Also, her song Summer 2020, those two songs together are just beautiful. But Calm and Patient, without going into too much detail, of course, the last couple of years have been pretty hard for me. And this is just one of those songs that reminds me to be present in the moment and just take a breath. Let's do it right now. Beautiful. And you notice when you're in the moment, you notice all your five senses and really just be grateful for what you have. And so while I totally recommend the ratchetry, I also recommend this song, this spiritual, divine greatness to anybody really who needs some encouragement without it being an overly gospel song. And, if you're not into that, that's totally fine. Listen, I will bump me some Tamala Man and don't let me have a hard day. Tamala is on and she's blaring. Okay. Not just Tamala. We got some others, but again, okay. See, when I be talking to y'all, I get ideas for episode ideas and it's just, the creative juices have been flowing lately and I can't say nothing, but I'm just grateful. But yes, if you're not into super gospel, check out Jhené Aiko. I mean, she's definitely spiritual. So if you're more spiritual than religious or anything of that sort, she does a beautiful job of tapping into spirituality in a very subtle way. Okay. So it's not totally in your face. And for me, that's kind of one reason why this song has been on repeat. Let's move into what I've been watching. And I have to say, I've been watching some pretty interesting and weird stuff. Weird because it's not things that I would normally watch, normally pick. One of those is Exo Kitty on Netflix. So I binged this series and I probably went through both season 1 and 2 in a matter of like 2 or 3 days. I was so invested in the storyline. I wanted Kitty to figure out what was going on with her mom and that whole story. And then she had all the little boys like falling over her, falling at her feet, child. Reminiscing on my youth. Listen, okay. But we're grown now. We are women. But it was just so cute. Like she just had a lot to figure out. It was a coming of age story. Okay. And I didn't really like the one little boy in the beginning. I can't think of his name right now, but he had that beautiful, gorgeous Korean glass skin that we all want. But he was a player, but he loved himself some Kitty. Okay. And I'm hoping in season 3, we explode that a little more. 'Cause I need to know. Okay. And no, I didn't like him at first. Okay. But I don't think I was supposed to. I think that was part of the storyline. I wasn't supposed to like him. Blah, blah, blah. But, he a little cutie. So, and I mean, isn't that kind of weird? Sometimes love stories start off that way. Like people kind of butt heads and not really like each other. For me personally, the only thing that I found kind of weird with this show is like, I don't know, how we're in her head, but sometimes I don't know, it took me out of it a little bit. So it's like she's with a guy or she's with a girl and she's exploring that. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, my mom. I don't know. It was kind of a bit disjointed in a way. But also too, if I had to put myself back in my teenage years, that slightly kind of fits a little bit because I mean, you're kind of all over the place and your mind is on a lot of different things and you're thinking about a lot of different things and you're caring what people think and the cycle of teenage woes. Okay. But again, the writing for me was a little weird. Like those scenes kind of took me out a little abruptly. They took me out just a little abruptly. All right. Just a little bit. So that was probably the only thing that I would say, but I'm definitely ready for another season. And that is if we're getting another season. I think we are, but the way it ended, I'm like, I don't know. Another thing that I'm currently watching is The Residence. Okay. Now, what's his name? Paul Davies. Ah, heavens. I'm so sorry. The writing is phenomenal. Now, I will put you on. This is not a show that you can just be on your phone and like glance up every now and then and listen to what's going on. This is a show you have to watch, eyes locked. Otherwise, you're going to miss something. And I'm saying that with love, tough love, because and I do it too, so I'm talking to myself. We're in this world, in this age where we've got too many devices going on. All right. And we're not present. Okay. Word of the day, presence. Okay. Being present in the moment because it's a murder mystery. And I might even write a blog on it because the obsession with murder mystery lately, because I've even thought of writing my own murder mystery. And I think too, Apple did one a few years ago. It was pretty good. But it's not just the murder mystery. It's this TV show was made for this time period. I don't know when he wrote it, how long he's been working on it. I really do all the research like that. My research was focused solely on our main old soul segment that we'll get to a little bit later. But being present in the moment right here, right now, it's also very political. And when I say the writing is very smart, very intelligent writing. And so, yeah, if you're a screenwriter, I definitely recommend this. The comedy is subtle because I don't really consider myself a comedy writer. I write thrillers and dramas, baby. If you laugh at something I wrote, that's because I put myself in there in a way. Like my humor is not everyone else's humor. I have that sarcastic humor that makes people roll their eyes sometimes. I'm sorry. I hate that for you. I can't. It's just me. Everyone has their own sense of humor. Everyone has comedians that they love and that they watch. But it's more of a comedic relief as like an undertone with the storyline at hand. And also too, I'm going to say one last thing about this show. Juan Carlos Esposito. And I have to say it like that. I'm sorry. I have to say it like that with the accent and all. I have to flare it because that man is gorgeous. Yes. Mm-hmm. Some of y'all may know him as the Chicken Man from Breaking Bad. No, for real though, if y'all have been watching every episode and y'all are learning my personality at this point. Because I'm quiet, I'm soft, but let that fire sign come out, baby. Hey. But anyway, that is what I have been tuning into. Definitely check out any of those. Definitely share with me what y'all been tuning into because listen, while I'm on a season break, I will be listening to new stuff. I want to hear new stuff. Like Another one I forgot to mention, Messy, right? That song has been making waves. That's a damn good song. And the music video is simple and tastefully done. Okay. But anyway, that's what I've been tuning into. Now let's spin the record back and give y'all a little history lesson on my queen, Miss Mariah Carey, before we dive into some of her music. So, of course, like I've said before, today is all about my artist obsession. Okay. My artist obsession with Mariah Carey is strong since I was a little tiny tot. Okay. And I thought it was only fitting to give you a little backstory on her life, of course, before we dive into the music and the main reason as to why I love her so beep, beep, beep much. Okay. Now, as I'm sure most of you know, she is an amazing songstress, stellar performer, and obviously a globally renowned singer with not one, not two, not three, not four, but five. Okay, five octaves in her vocal range. I mean, come on now, whistle tone. Now, I used to could do that when I was a little kid before puberty. I have a nice wide range, but some vocal training, I'm so sure I could get my whistle tone back, but that's neither here nor there. Mariah Carey is a phenomenal songwriter and record producer. And I feel like, sidebar, I feel like only recently has she really been getting the acclaim and the recognition she has deserved for a long flipping time. Okay. But I digress. I'm not here to ruffle no feathers because she's getting it, right? Mama's getting what she deserves. Okay. Flowers. Give people their flowers while they still here. Okay. Because it means so much more than just the flowers you put on somebody's grave that you're going to have to replace in about 3 to 5 days. Do you get what I'm saying to you? Again, another sidebar. It's been a hard year and I've been learning. Give people their flowers while they still here. Okay. But anyway, I say all that to say she's a phenomenal overall inspirational vessel in the music industry. But of course, who was she before the fame? So let's dive a little ways back to Lil Mariah. She is a Long Island, New York Aries, born on March 27th. And so Mama just had her anniversary because she does anniversaries. Okay. We don't do birthdays. It's anniversary. And so happy belated to her because, the way I'm telling you, I wrote on her page. I shouted her out. Little old me. She don't know me, but at least not yet. One day I will get to meet her and I will do everything within my power to keep my composure. But child, they say don't meet your heroes, but sometimes I say bump that. You got to. It can change some things. I'm just saying, listen. But anyway, I won't dare say how many anniversaries she's had because you let her tell it's 30. I believe it's 30. Like we keep just giving her 30th anniversary. And we respect it over here. Okay. The lambs respect it. But if you ever so curious, feel free to look it up on Dr. Google. I ain't gonna stop you. It's on there. Anyway, the reason I gravitated towards her growing up, and I'm sure I've mentioned it in other episodes, and I'm not shy about that because, well, she's mixed, like myself. Her dad was African American and Afro-Venezuelan, and her mother was Irish American. Her mom was also an opera singer, and she's who inspired Mariah and encouraged her musical passion. She also took inspiration from gospel, pop, and soul, and she rose to fame in the early 90s. Now, during the 90s, she was signed to Columbia Records, and we'll get into more tea about that when we dig more into her memoir a little bit later. But her self-titled debut album, Mariah Carey, was an immediate hit, reaching number 1 on the Billboard 200 chart and featured 4 singles with Vision of Love, Love Takes Time, Someday, and I Don't Want to Cry. People were obviously really impressed by not only her vocal range, you know, the whistle tone in her songs like Emotions, but her singing style. Mariah has this melismatic tone and vocal style, which essentially is just the riffs and runs, you know, multiple notes in a single syllable, music theory. But you'll find that a lot in gospel music, which of course influenced Mariah. So, you know, Mariah's music really incorporates various genres, including pop, R&B, soul, gospel. Her signature vocal style is that riffs and runs. And of course, her deeply personal life experiences that she uses for her songwriting. She pulls topics of love, heartbreak, and her own personal growth. To date, she has sold over 200 million records worldwide, has had 19 number 1 singles on the Billboard Hot 100, and has had 34 Grammy nominations. And I believe she's won about 5 or 6 of those Grammy Awards, which should have been a little more in my opinion. But again, I digress. I'm just obsessed with this woman, and I want, she don't need my greatness, right? She great in and all of herself, but I just, yeah, again, giving people their flowers while they're still here. But anyway, with this amazing stardom and being one of the best selling artists of all time, let's talk about some of her iconic songs that helped her achieve this title. Starting with her breakout single, Vision of Love, where she gave an amazing and breathtaking delivery. Okay. Then in 1993, we got Hero, which is a lot of people's favorites for its inspirational message, which I do love that song, but I'll sprinkle in what is one of my inspirational songs with inspirational messaging that she wrote, because she's got quite a few. You have to have a balance of divaness with also humbling thyself and remembering your roots and where you came from. So I say all that to say, people want to focus on her diva antics, but if you really look at her discography, little Mariah lives on, and it lives on through those inspirational songs. But I will get into that, of course. I'm getting ahead of myself, per usual. But anyway, 1994, we got the song that crowned her the Queen of Christmas, All I Want for Christmas Is You. One of the most classic holiday songs that continues to hit the charts every late November, early December, whenever she wants to break out of the ice sculpture and proclaim it's time. Okay. Now we're going to shift it back a little further into her personal life and explore her memoir. Her memoir, titled The Meaning of Mariah Carey, was released on September 29th, 2020. I personally, obviously, listened to the audiobook because I really wanted to hear her read her memoir in her own voice. Mainly because I love memoirs. When it comes to nonfiction, that is, other than self-help books, okay, memoirs are so needed. They're needed. And I especially love audiobooks when the author reads it in their own voice, and you're hearing their words and their emotion as they relive some of these stories that they're sharing with us. And also, Mariah just has a very soothing voice, speaking voice to begin with. But listening to her audiobook, I already knew that it would be more impactful if I listened to it versus reading it. And I'm so happy that I did, because there were moments where she had excerpts of some of her lyrics that corresponded to the chapter that we were about to dive into and the time period that she wrote those lyrics. And it was like what she was going through at that moment. And so hearing her sing a cappella, those few little lines, pure bliss, never disappointing. Okay. This book was highly anticipated, not just for me, obviously, but because it became an instant bestseller. And mainly because she's speaking directly to me or you, but in general, the Lamley family. And you could tell that it was deeply personal to her. Mariah's memoir has this intimate, unfiltered look into her life, her career, and personal struggles. And she's faced a lot of challenges, like her parents' divorce at a young age and not having much financial stability. But aside from that, she never felt like she fit in. This is a storyline that so many mixed kids, biracial, triracial, multiracial, racial, go through, including me. You know, you get asked almost on a daily. Thankfully, some people are opening their eyes and their minds and reading books and exploring cultures. So thank you to those progressive people. But sometimes you still get asked, like, what are you? And now when you're a child, you don't really know how to answer that question. I know I didn't. My response was just black and white. Like I didn't really have any other answer because that's what I am. But nowadays, if you were to ask me that, my response would probably be a little more harsh, because it's like, well, what are you? A human being. I bleed red just like you. I go to the bathroom just like you. I blow my nose. I eat food just like you. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot for a mixed kid to go through. And even as an adult, like sometimes you're still trying to figure out where your place is in society and in the world in general. And so it's like in her memoir, she has like this touch where it's like on this question of what are you, this touch of colorism, where if you're black and white, like me and like Mariah, it's that you're too black for the white kids and you're too white for the black kids. And sometimes for me, I do still feel that way. I do still feel like I experience that even in my particular friend groups today, but I know my friends accept me regardless. And, sometimes their comments, they don't think before they speak, or they don't mean to say certain things. It just kind of naturally comes out. And so for me, I give my friends and family grace, because we've come a long way, but we still have a long way to go. And politics are not my thing. So I'm not here to get into that. But I'd be lying if I said I'm a little nervous and not really sure what it's going to lead to. But regardless, in my friend groups, I do my best not to code switch. It's just, hey, if you didn't get the joke, I'm not going to repeat it or explain it. It just wasn't meant for you, because sometimes I can be this quote unquote too black or this quote unquote too white, and the opposite spectrums, opposite people groups don't get it, and it's like, oh well, that joke didn't land, but we're just gonna keep going. Oh well. I've gotten more comfortable with that, is essentially what I'm saying. And it's a process, being comfortable in your own skin, regardless of your DNA, your cultural background. It's a process. And, Mariah explains how she often felt torn between the different cultures, different races and cultural expectations that she was growing up in. And so it led to her feeling this sense of isolation. And I have to say that this was a breath of fresh air for me to hear her say that, because even though I knew and I know we were similar growing up, I never felt like she owned her blackness, in a sense, and like in interviews or on magazine covers. And reading her story, I now understand that I think a part of that was because, in my research and just knowing what I know of her, like in the beginning, people did ask her that question, like a lot. What are you? What's your back? And she would explain. But I think as a kid, I didn't understand that maybe at some point you get to a point where you get tired of asking that, and you kind of just mold into what you believe people want you to be. I remember growing up, I never saw her on the cover of Essence or Jet magazine. And I thought that was interesting, but it didn't stop me from liking her or anything like that. I think she learned how to adapt, and also too, reading her memoir, I don't think she got much control of how she was branded. And so again, just giving grace, but being excited that she wrote this memoir and told all of us about that. Like, I don't know, I guess I'm just saying that I think I finally understand that she was in the public eye. They didn't really know how to brand her. And I know that from personal experience of different acting classes and stuff. Like you get called exotic. Okay. And it's, I don't know. You see, I'm triggered and I'm struggling. When I was going through acting classes and just different auditions, they made it seem as if exotic was a good thing. And they even called Mariah exotic a few times, I think, in some of her interviews or just branding things. And it's triggering because when I would go to these auditions, at first, I thought that it made me unique, right? And special and highly sought after for roles like, oh, she's exotic. She can play a Hispanic, or she can play this role or that role. And it's like, no, you should just get a Hispanic to play that role. Am I wrong? I mean, I'm honored because, te amo mi gentes. Okay. And I'm learning. So I hope I said that right. I sidebar, because I think about that a lot. I love Hispanic culture and just Latin culture in general. And I never want to act as if or give off the vibe that I'm culturally appropriating, because I know how that feels. So I really am just, when I speak Spanish or talk about Spanish music or Spanish shows, it's really out of love and admiration. So again, please don't come for me in the comments. I'm learning, okay? Because baby, things get weirder, go more south. If Mexico will have me. Or Spain, listen, Costa Rica, Colombia, but all those places sound great. But anyway, back to this exotic comment, right? I always thought it was a cool thing. And it's like, oh, they said I'm exotic. Okay, cute. But then it was like I wasn't getting booked for roles. Again, another topic for another day. That was years ago. We move on. But the case in point is that as I got older, I realized being called exotic, it's not really a compliment. So to hear Mariah accept herself was really refreshing and drew me into her that much more. And it was just a well-written memoir. But later on in the memoir, she talks about her first marriage to Tommy Mottola and the drama that ensued with that. And honestly, I don't really want to give him too much airtime because we don't know him, but just know that they met when he was the head of Sony Music, and they were married for 5 years. They had a 2-decade age gap, I believe. And in their marriage, he was very controlling and emotionally abusive, so much so that her friendship with Debrat, which we love Debrat. Oh, Loverboy remix. Oh, we gonna get into it. We gonna get into it. She has a story where she tells us that she and Debrat devised this plan so that she could sneak out of the house. Maybe it was more of like this prison she was in, but she was able to get away from the bodyguard watching her so she could go shopping and explore the town. Mariah just really shares the emotional toll it took on her and how eventually she found the strength to break free from both the marriage and the constant constraints he placed on her creativity. Because let me tell you, it was like she wasn't her own person. And during that time is when you see her manic episode on TRL, and Glitter didn't perform well, but at least something good came out of that marriage. And that was the Emancipation of Mimi. Yeah. Best-selling album of all time. I'm saying it. She later married Nick Cannon in 2008, and they had twins together, Monroe and Moroccan. But sadly, they divorced in 2014. Nick Cannon over here wanting to sow his roles, but that's all right. We gonna let him be great. We love him. But anyway, after that, Mariah decided not to get married again and just date. And I know she was with her dancer, Brian Tanaka, for several years, but they recently split, I think, not too long ago. And now she with Mr. Anderson. Okay. I was like, look at mama. He cute. I'm like, is he turning her into a vegan? I don't know, baby. Join the club. Join the club. Listen, don't knock vegan food till you try it, okay? I wouldn't say that I'm really quote unquote vegan. I love me some honey. I love eggs. Okay. So I would say I'm more vegetarian, but pescatarian. I don't know why I said that. That was random, y'all. I had a squirrel moment. I just started thinking about Anderson .Paak. I'm sorry. Is it Paak or is it Pack? Baby, I don't know. I'm sorry. I just know it's Anderson dot. And then, because that's how before I really knew who he was, that's how I used to address him. Anderson dot .Paak. Like, I ain't know his stage name for nothing. I'm sorry. Or if that's his government name, I'm not sure. Anyway, the moral of the story, okay, he's with the queen right now. So, and they look like they had enough fun. Listen, when I tell you, I saw them pictures, the paparazzi pictures, Mariah had her natural waves. I'm talking vision of love waves, curls, okay, in that photo. I was like everybody else talking about, ooh, something happening. Because when the last time we saw Mariah wear her hair like that? She said, wash and go. Okay. We didn't press out nothing. Okay. Nada. We didn't, there were no blowout. No, it was straight curls. Okay. And it was gorgeous. I feel like I ain't seen her hair like that in a hot minute. Continue to do it, please and thank you. That's all I got to say. But anyway, continuing on. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm really not sorry, but I'm sorry because it's a long episode. So buckle in, kitty cats. I admire her, obviously. And I just get so excited and inspired when I think about Mariah Carey. But anyway, now I'm mentioning the 2001 ice cream debacle moment on TRL. And I mean, Mariah really opened up in her memoir about her mental health and her bipolar disorder diagnosis. Yet again, she felt isolated and wasn't sure how it would affect her career. It took her years to accept it and get the help that she needed. With her mental health, it didn't help that her body image was constantly being picked apart in the media, thus, of course, damaging her self-worth. But throughout her memoir, she focuses on the importance of staying true to herself and her sense of freedom and what it means to be emancipated after all of these years, right? I remember when I was a kid, I knew I liked reading memoirs, as I mentioned, but at a young age, listen, my dad and I went on this scavenger hunt looking for a book about Mariah Carey or a book by her. And so we found biographies at Hastings or Barnes and Noble, but those never really satisfied me. And so when she came out with her memoir, I felt like my inner child prayers had been answered. Okay. So I definitely recommend reading it if you're a Mariah Carey fan or if you just enjoy memoirs, because especially the audiobook, she's so conversational, honest, and she's a little funny. Okay. she's just herself in raw form. And you really get to know the woman behind the fame and behind the music. And you get to hear her story of this celebration of survival and reclaiming her life. At her show in Vegas, yes, I went to her show in Vegas. Obviously, I went to her show in Vegas. You really think I'm going to miss an opportunity to see her in concert? Listen, before we dive into that, let me tell you something. I have had the pleasure, my eyes have been blessed and my ears have been graced. I've been able to see her twice in concert. The first time she was an opening act for Lionel Richie. And in 1 hour, that was her opening time limit. In 1 hour, Mama had 4 wardrobe changes. 4. Stellar performance, okay? And so this one in Vegas, it was about an hour and a half because I think they have a curfew on the thing. But I've been noticing that with venues lately. Y'all let me know in the comments if y'all have noticed that too. Like, venues are cutting it off. You know, they used to go for hours and now it's like, you get about an hour and a half, 2 hours. But in that hour and a half, 2 hours, she had like 5 or 6 wardrobe changes. And I was enthralled with each one. Okay. Enthralled. Okay. Just so excited. But at the show in Vegas, she incorporated snippets from the audiobook to put us back in that place and time of when and why she wrote the songs that she wrote and the music. And I just thought it was an angelic touch. And I think true lambs knew, oh, this is her audiobook. I think other people who just kind of was like, oh, Mariah Carey. And no shade to those people. But I think that they probably thought like, oh, that's a nice little touch. She's like putting, and I was like, no, I know this sound. This is from the memoir. Like, I just knew, even though I haven't read or listened to the memoir in 2025, 4 years. I already knew. Mainly because the way the memoir was written, and just how we all know Mariah Carey writes in general, it's just very poetic. But anyway, I thought that was a nice angelic touch. So now that you kind of have a bit of knowledge on Mariah Carey personally, her personal life, let's move into the old soul segment where we will explore her music and, of course, the cult classic movie that made me love her so much. All right. So the first thing I want to talk about in this old soul segment is none other than glitter. # justice for glitter all day. Glitter, in my opinion, is a phenomenal movie. Don't fight me in the comments. It's not happening. You will lose. You'll lose because I will ignore you. I'm sorry. I get it. It's not a quote unquote Oscar worthy winning film, but you're going to understand in a moment why I will never stop loving this movie, regardless of the criticism revolved around it, regardless of what people think good movies are in general, regardless of all that. So let's dive in. It's going to get a little emotional here, just forewarning you. One thing that I love about this movie is the fact that she had Whiskers, her cat, from the time she was a child till she was an adult. Because I'm so sure that was the same cat in the movie. You know what I mean? And I can relate because I had my cat, Ashley Lorraine Pooter Bear McVicker, for a beautiful 18 years. And we watched this film on repeat. And we even watched it the night before she passed because she was really sick. And I think I knew that it was getting close. I just didn't know when. So it was important for us to watch that film, to watch Glitter one last time. So basically, what is Glitter? Glitter is, well, a musical drama where Mariah Carey plays the lead character, Billy Frank. Her mom was also a singer at a jazz lounge, and she was also an alcoholic. So she's drinking one night and falls asleep with a lit cigarette in her hand, and the apartment catches on fire. So essentially, this leads to Billy getting raised in foster care, is where she meets her two best friends, Roxy and Janet, who end up being her backup singers for Silk. This is where we get all those famous lines from Terrence Howard, where it's turn Silk down, bring Billy all the way up. You know, like it's essential because Silk steals her voice. Oh, saying that out loud, I wonder who that's referencing, but we don't know her. Because the tea, right? Like people are like, oh, this is a memoir, you know, a kind of get to know Mariah through Glitter. It's loosely based on her life, but it's not a direct, like, this is what happened in her life. It's purely fictional, but again, loosely based. But anyway, Silk gets a big head. And so when I tell you Billy showed her up after they perform, they're in the club. This photographer comes in and she's like, oh, can I get a picture of the ladies with the four of you? And Silk goes, they're just back up. They don't matter. And puts her little shawl over it. And then what does Billy do? You got the right one. Because she starts singing the song all the way out the club. Okay. I'm tempted to sing it for y'all, but I won't do that. But anyway, you have Dice. He's a DJ played by Max Beasley from, I think he was also in Empire. So if you can kind of tell, like, Terrence Howard, Taraji P. Henson, and Max Beasley kind of worked with the same directors and run in the same circles and it's almost like this little world that has been created that we've kind of grown up with. Because if you watched Hustle and Flow, that's Lucius and Cookie. Okay. Just saying. But anyway, I apologize again for the sidebars. I just love talking about film and love making references and connecting the dots, if you will. But anyway, from there, Dice helps Billy get produced and get a record deal. Now, again, being loosely based on her life, especially considering her rise to fame and, you know, her experiences in the music industry. And of course, people weren't crazy about her acting performance in Glitter and all that, but the music was widely praised. Of course, it's Mariah Carey. But of course, the film itself just fell through. Didn't really do that well. But in my opinion, they can kick rocks because there are several Oscar winners who can't act. And I said what I said, but I won't say no more. But anyway, let's talk about the music. So the soundtrack to Glitter really and truly became one of the best parts of the film. Mariah, she co-produced and co-wrote many of the tracks. And the album itself features this blend of pop and R&B and disco because it's kind of glitter is really set in the 80s and people want to dance in the 80s and they did. So instead of going through every single song like I had originally planned when I was first preparing for this episode, I'm going to spare y'all and I'm just going to talk about the songs that I really love. And although, of course, like I said, there's a lot, I'm going to just focus on the ones that touched me personally and I felt a strong connection to. So again, Loverboy. This was the lead single. It was a dance pop anthem that became a hit. But my favorite is the remix with Debrat. Okay, her voice and her verse go crazy. Okay, like I'll be cruising in my car and I'm like, cat pop, backdrop, stopwatch, brat tag, get your mo rap harder. Like, you sing along, okay? You sing along is what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm just saying it's a banger, all right? The song is a banger. I love Mariah Carey. Listen, if you're not playing the game where you take a shot of water or whatever your vice is, liquid vice is, anytime I say banger, Mariah Carey, like, baby, you slurring your words and you slipping through the flow, okay? Like, please be advised. But anyway, moving on, I also really like All My Life, which is the song that we get Turn Silk Down, Bring Billy All the Way Up from. And, then Dice was like, he's ghosting you. He's using your voice for Silks. And Billy was like, well, like, yeah, but I'm having fun. So, and it's like, oh, no, we can't do that. We can't do that. If you couldn't tell, I've seen this movie a lot. Anyway, I can quote it all day, right? Probably verbatim. But anyway, the song received a lot of backlash because Rick James wrote it. So enough said there, but it helped Mariah Carey because, she produced it, and it's a good song. And it's the song that really sets the tone for the whole movie and kind of gives you a taste of Billy's character and what her character can do. But moving forward onto some more sadder songs on the soundtrack, we will start with Reflections. This is the song that Billy wrote to help herself heal from the hurt and abandonment that she felt from her mother. This song, for me, at the time this movie came out, was exactly what I was feeling with my own mother. And of course, I won't get too deep into it, but I felt that abandonment and not feeling good enough. And why did you have me? And all these things that hurt kids feel. Thankfully, my mama and I are in a much better place now that I'm older. So this song doesn't really resonate with me as much or in the same way that it did, but it's definitely a powerful song. Now, another ballad that became a fan favorite was Never Too Far. This is the song I put on to honor my lost loved ones. I mentioned earlier my cat Ashley, and when she passed, the morning after we watched this, I couldn't watch this film for a good 2-3 years because of this song. Because of the way Glitter ended, because Dice and Billy were both writing the same song simultaneously, but apart in different apartments in New York. And it was just so, it's the crescendo, or denouement of the film. And I couldn't take it. I couldn't take it. While the film was a box office flop, it only grossed about 5.2 million with a budget of 22 million. But the soundtrack received a more positive reception and reached commercial success, eventually being certified platinum. Now, why is this? At the time of its release, 2001, critics generally found the film's plot and pace lacking, and Carey's acting they thought was stiff and unconvincing. The film's release also coincided with the turbulent period in her career, of course, including her emotional breakdown and departure from her contract with Sony Music. It didn't help that Glitter hit theaters during this time, and it really just affected Mariah's personal life and professional reputation. She was under a lot of scrutiny, basically. Now, of course, over time, Glitter has earned a reputation for being an underrated film, or cult classic, if you will, with some praising the themes that it has of perseverance and, Mariah Carey's just earnest portrayal of Billy. So again, hashtag for justice. Now, I will say I have a fun fact about the movie because it was always something that was on my mind and I just wanted to know. For the countless number of times I watched the movie, I always wondered why Mariah had this silver tape or something on her body, and it was rarely in the same place twice. But that's because Christopher Buckle, the makeup artist for Glitter and her obviously forever makeup artist, he was literally on stage at the Vegas show fixing her makeup. Okay. On stage. Looking gorgeous as ever. They're a dynamic duo, in my opinion. I hope to find a makeup artist who will follow me in my career and just be my friend and do my makeup, because your girl hates doing her own makeup. This is what you get. And I think I did a decent job. But regardless, I had to figure out why he did that. And so he felt like went against her golden skin. And we lambs know Mariah Carey loves gold and pink, because I'm wearing pink in honor of her today. But he was hoping that the paint swatch, not tape. I always thought it was tape. I always thought it was duct tape on her. I couldn't tell, but it's a paint swatch. And he really thought that it would add this glam, yet symbolic and ritualistic persona to the film. And in his own words, quote, "The slash is about fighting for individuality. It's an empowerment thing," unquote. I agree. Looking back when I watched it, it felt so avant-garde and risky, but also on brand, because this is the 80s and everyone wants to dance. If you know, you know. Oh, I'm loving the references. If you're catching my references, please give this video if you're watching on YouTube, give it a thumbs up. If you're listening auditorily, put your favorite quotes and Glitter quotes in the comments. I would love to know what y'all resonate with. But essentially that wraps up my love for Glitter and the film that raised me. But I want to know, do you enjoy the Glitter soundtrack or any of the songs from the film? I want to know. But anyway, let's jump into yet another reason why I love Mariah Carey. And that is none other than the Emancipation of Mimi. Okay. This came out in 2005 and is one of Mariah Carey's most iconic albums and commercial successes. Often considered her comeback album, and one of her best works. So essentially, she took a break after Glitter, and she just, as she stated in her memoir, she just needed a break mentally with everything she was going through in her life. And so during her hiatus, after all of that, at the time this album came out, she broke free from Tommy Mottola's controllingness. And this album was the celebration of that, and celebration for herself, where she came back bigger and badder than ever. Just this musical force, okay? And not only a musical force, but a vocalist and a pop culture force, okay? And I'm not sure if she knew it was going to be as big as it became. I mean, in my research for some of the songs specifically, like We Belong Together, she knew it was going to be a good song. She just didn't know how good of a song it was going to be. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's talk about the album as a whole. Now, for the concepts and themes, the Emancipation of Mimi, of course, represents her liberation and a rebirth. And the name Mimi it's a nickname. And so it's a symbol of her reclaiming control over her life and her career. And I think it's refreshing too, because it shows vulnerability. There's people have nicknames that only their closest family and friends know. So to be able to tell the world your nickname and be that open and be that vulnerable and be able to allow others into that world, into that space of you, refreshing. The album itself has this reflectory theme, of course, on self-empowerment, resilience, love, and it's classically Mariah in that it blends elements of pop, R&B, hip hop, and soul. And, she's got this beautiful mixture of the upbeat tracks and the emotional ballads that we love her for. Now, for this, she collaborated with a wide array of producers and artists, creating a sound that was contemporary yet rooted in her signature style. The album had a fresh, modern feel, while, of course, still showcasing her vocal prowess. Now, let's get into some of the singles and the key tracks of The Emancipation of Mimi. Let's begin, of course, with her most widely known and celebrated, We Belong Together. This song spent 14 weeks at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, and it's widely credited for reviving Mariah's career. For the visual, it was directed by Brett Ratner. And I love how it's a continuation on It's Like That visual, where she's at a party and she meets this guy. But in We Belong Together, she's wishing she would have stayed with the younger guy. It's a love story. But she saw the other guy at the party, and, I guess he had more money or more acclaim. I'm not really sure. But in the visual, we see her running off after the younger guy and leaving the handsome Eric Roberts at the altar. Moving on to Shake It Off. This is a fun, upbeat track where Mariah really reflects on her ability to shake off negativity and the negative man and remain strong. I mean, this song is an anthem of resilience, and it was another successful single off the album. The visual was directed by Jake Nava, and it's so classy, okay? When I say Marilyn Monroe influences, I mean, she's in the claw-toed bathtub covered in rose petals. Okay. It is a bit literal in the sense like she's on the phone and she's about to hang up and call right back, for the message in the beginning of the song. And then she also takes her Louis Vuitton and she's sitting by the pool, but I love it. I'm not normally a fan of like on the nose visuals, but I love it. And it works because the lyrics are really descriptive and lends itself to the imagery of the song and the visual. Plus, I think my Halloween costume for this year will be white tank, army pants, and a blinged out hat. Okay. Next, Don't Forget About Us is this seductive, smooth R&B track that followed the success of We Belong Together. Listen, tell me why when I was a kid, I would sing this at the top of my lungs and hitting all the notes, I might add, but didn't really know what I was singing about and could not relate, but was giving it my all. Okay. The visual was directed by Paul Hunter, and it was weirdly, I don't know, it showed me what a simple, sensual beauty was. I remember just being so enamored by Mariah and that I was like, I want to look like that when I grow up. And because mama was showing leg. Let me not call her baby. Mama was showing leg. Okay. And her hair was swinging. When I was a kid, I was like, yeah, she's pretty. She's gorgeous. Mm-hmm. Don't forget about her type thing. You know what I mean? It also made me feel like I could play soccer, and your girl is not athletic. Okay. I sing, I direct, I produce, I write movies. But anyway, I thought that I could play soccer. And so for some reason, I went to a college soccer summer camp that I had no business being at because, again, I'm not athletic. But the visual played more to the memories of this relationship and not wanting it to end and not wanting the guy to forget about the good moments. It slightly also reminds me of Jasmine Sullivan's song Lost One, where the theme is the same in that even though the relationship and the moment is over, it's about getting used to a new way of life without that person. Moving on, we have It's Like That. These chickens is ash and I'm lotion. Okay. Another high energy, club ready party track that really captured the vibrancy and celebratory tone of the album. This video was also directed by Brett Ratner in this masquerade ball that starts everything. Okay. And what I love about this music video is that it's really kind of all in one location, like this nice big mansion. And Mariah Carey is adorned in gold and just looking glamorous for her solo shots, which is completely on brand. But it also ends with that cliffhanger of that to be continued. And then that's where we get We Belong Together. Now to slow it down a bit, mine again is a deeply, deeply emotional ballad that demonstrated Mariah's ability to craft a beautiful, heartfelt song about love and longing, which we already know she can do that, right? And I adore that song so much. Another one that I like, it's still a little upbeat, but it's a little slower. It's more smooth. And that is Say Something. It was a collaboration with Uncle Snoop Dogg. And it brought that hip hop edge to the album. And it's mixing, R&B with rap in a way that resonated with a broader audience. Now, Circles and Get Your Number are also really, really great songs on the album. But I mentioned earlier that there is one of two songs that really speak to me and inspire me and are the message songs, in my opinion, where most people admire Mariah Carey for Hero. I adore Fly Like a Bird. It's a gospel-inspired track with Pastor Clarence Keaton in the beginning, giving us just a word, a simple word, but a word. Because during the early 2000s, it was really an opportunity for her to lean on her faith, which she, of course, talked about in her memoir. So this song is my everything when I need encouragement. And I take a lot of inspiration from this song. Got birds chirping and it's just a powerful song that really has that message of like, I need you, Lord. I need you. I need you. So that is one of my message inspiration songs that I adore from her. The other one is Make It Happen. That one's just a little bit more, it's a message song, but it's also just very motivational and more upbeat. Fly Like a Bird is more ballad, and I don't know, it shows the trajectory too of when those songs came out, because Make It Happen was 90s and Fly Like a Bird is 2000s. So being able to see the trajectory of the musical sounds, it's just, but let's talk about the commercial success of the Emancipation of Mimi. It debuted at number 1 on the Billboard Top 200 for 14 weeks and sold millions of copies worldwide with a quickness. Okay. And it's one of the best selling albums of 2005. And it ultimately was certified diamond by the RIAA. And if you're unfamiliar with what that stands for, it is the Recording Industry Association of America, essentially making it Mariah's best-selling studio album in the US. It had 5 successful singles, all of which charted in the top 10 of the Billboard Hot 100. And this album, it just shows that Mariah is a force to be reckoned with, a powerhouse, okay? And to be able to return to the top of the charts after a few years of a little minor setback in her story, because it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And the road had many hills and valleys for her. And even in your own personal story, you might experience that. It just shows that you can overcome so much. You can overcome so much. And so Emancipation of Mimi, it won several awards, including Grammy for Best Contemporary R&B Album and Best Female R&B Vocal Performance for We Belong Together. And the list goes on and on. But the impact and the legacy remains. It's still her best, her highly anticipated, forever commercial success. And it garnered her to be this title of like greatest vocalist of all time. And it helped her regain respect in the music industry and among critics that she had lost. It's also a wisdom, a side tale, what's the word I'm looking for? it lets you know that you have to be careful with who you surround yourself with, because not everyone has your best interest at heart. And you can fall on account of other people, but the fact that Mariah Carey herself was able to rebuild herself up, it's inspirational. And it shows that in this album, she's more mature, she's more confident, and she's mastered the contemporary blending of classic R&B with, new school production. And of course, Mariah, with the success of the Emancipation of Mimi, inspired a new generation of artists like Ariana Grande. I know she's been compared to her a lot, and that was a whole thing for a few years, and they seem to be friends now. But she's, you can't deny if someone inspires you, right? So Ariana Grande, Adele, Beyonce even, and of course, yours truly. I think we can all agree that she is a major, major influence. And of course, I have a little fun fact. The little fun fact of the Emancipation of Mimi is, it's noted for the artwork, the album cover, if you will, where Mariah she's on the cover and it's just very minimalist, but it's glamorous. But for her, I found in interviews that it's a visual representation of her reclaiming her image and her success. And I know too that she also favors the deluxe edition or the platinum edition cover over the OG cover, but regardless, she still loves them both. So in summary, the Emancipation of Mimi was not just a musical triumph, but a pivotal moment in Mariah Carey's career. It showcased her resilience, vocal ability, and the ability to craft timeless pop and R&B hits that still hit today. Okay. So I have to ask, do you have a favorite track from the Emancipation of Mimi? Pretty please let me know so we can geek out in the comments. Like, I really want to know. But I also have to tell you about some of my other favorite Mariah Carey songs before I let you go. And there is a laundry list. So if you've made it this far, please subscribe if you're not already. Leave a thumbs up, a heart. I'm just grateful that y'all have made it this far. So my favorite Mariah Carey songs, and I'll tell you about obviously I'm going to throw in some of my opinion, but let me just go through the list. Angels Cry featuring Neo. I feel like that's a little bit similar to the theme of One Sweet Day, which is also a really, really great song. Like, if you want to be in your feels, One Sweet Day, you put that on, or even Angels Cry. Next, we have Honey from Butterfly. I had a German Shepherd named Honey, and I named her that, one, because again, I love honey. Like, that is probably one of my favorite condiments, but also because it's one of my favorite Mariah Carey songs. So there's a video of me singing to my little honey bunny, singing this song while she was on crate rest, and it's just good times. It's just good times. Another song I really like is One Mo' Gin and With You from the Caution album. Through the Rain. Now, I have talked about this before on another episode, so I won't get into the nitty gritty, but it's another powerful ballad, and it's from the Charm Bracelet album. Fantasy Remix from the Daydream album. And then we've got Touch My Body, I Stay in Love, I'm That Chick, I'll Be Loving You Long Time, and Last Kiss, all from E equals MC squared, a very slept on album, in my opinion. Another one I really like is Make It Happen from Emotions. That is the motivational. It's got some gospel influences in there, especially the live version where she has a choir help her sing it. But it's a really good song. In the Mix is the theme song to Mixed-ish with Tracy Ellis Ross. That was a spinoff of Blackish. But yeah, I love the theme song for that, Mariah Carey. Because who else would you ask to do that? She mixed, Tracy mixed, I'm mixed, we all mixed. It's gorgeous. I told y'all I'm weird. I'm sorry. But I love myself. You know, you got to just wake up and love yourself and just be grateful that you woke up this morning. Moving on now. Vision of Love, I Don't Want to Cry, Vanishing, Prisoner are all great songs that I love from her self-titled debut album, Mariah Carey. We have #Beautiful featuring Miguel. It's a Rap featuring Mary J. Blige from her album, Me, I Am Mariah. It's a Rap recently made a couple years ago, made a resurgence, and I was so happy when that happened. Some other songs that I really like are Obsessed, Hate You, Candy Bling, More Than Just Friends, and I Want to Know What Love Is from Memoirs of an Imperfect Angel. Another underrated, slept on album, in my opinion. Then we've got Heartbreaker featuring Jay-Z, and I adore that music video. Okay. 2 Mariah Careys. That's all I'm gonna say on that. Check it out if you haven't seen it. I also like Crybaby and Ex-Girlfriend, all from the Rainbow album. I enjoyed the single Up Out My Face featuring Nicki Minaj before they had a falling out, which if anybody knows what the tea is on that, like, I want to know what happened, but I also know it's none of my business. So I'm gonna stay over here in my lane. Another song that I really like is When You Believe, that she did with Whitney Houston for the Prince of Egypt soundtrack. And I love singing this song, and I love singing both parts. It's kind of like when you sing The Boy Is Mine, you want to be Brandy, but you also want to be Monica. So that's the song for me. I want to be Mariah, but I also want to be Whitney. So I just go ahead and sing both parts. And then for her Christmas songs, because, you know, I obviously got to throw those in there. Obviously, All I Want for Christmas Is You is top tier, but also, Oh Santa, that's a great follow-up, okay? That gets played in my house a lot during the Christmas time. Because Santa's gonna come and make it mine this Christmas is a bar. Facts, okay? Give me everything I want. Overall, okay, Mariah Carey is my favorite artist of all time. I mean, obviously, I just spent 2 hours talking about nothing but her, aside from the other segments in the show. But regardless, I spent 2 hours talking about her. Okay. And that's because she speaks to me in a way that I just feel understood. And I feel like that's something I needed as a child. I wanted to feel like I wasn't alone. And I used to, I don't know if I should say this, but we've been controversial this whole time, right? So let's just do it. I used to daydream that she was my older sister who was a singer and sang and traveled the world, sharing her music with the world. And I don't know, I was a kid, okay? I'm sorry. But anyway, I think I did that so I wouldn't feel like this lonely, only child. But I had the music and I had my stories and my fantasies to keep me whole. So I think it was wholesome. And it was. I was a child. But regardless, she is truly an inspiration to me even now. And it's always been on my bucket list to create an EP and release music. And I'm finally starting that journey. So stay tuned because she makes me feel like I can do it. And she's the one who more or less taught me how to sing because I would just kind of imitate her and, figure out how she did certain runs and things. And I just feel like you can feel her warmth and emotion with every note and every word and every run. But yeah, that is my artist obsession, the celebration of Mimi. And I would love to know who your all-time favorite artist is, or even what your favorite Mariah Carey song is, if you're a lamb like me. I have ranted and ranted enough. And if you've made it this far, again, I'm grateful. That's really all I can say. Now, let's do the trivia question of today. And I know it's been a hot little minute. It's been a while, right? So let me refresh your memory on the question. Which item of Marilyn Monroe does Mariah Carey own? Is it a famous dress she wore, her grand piano, a huge diamond ring, or one of her portraits? If you answered her baby grand piano, you would be correct. Yep, she's got it, and I believe it's in her New York condo. I'm not really sure. But also a little fun fact, if you weren't aware, she named her daughter after Marilyn Monroe. It's where we get Monroe from. So it also just proves that she has her own little artist obsession. We all have our own little artist obsessions. But again, thank you guys for being here and lasting with me this long. But that's a wrap on season 1, oldies. I'm just so grateful for you. And thank you for joining me on That Old Soul show for, the old souls with fresh takes. If you loved today's episode, please, pretty please subscribe and leave a review, share it with your fellow old souls, your fellow Mariah Carey fans. And of course, until we meet again in season 2, please be sure to follow me at Starring S.E. McVie. That is Starring SEMCV as in Valentine. And also That Old Soul Show on Instagram and TikTok. I will also be writing a few blogs on some of the shows and movies I've been watching, sort of like a tune into segment online. So make sure you're following me for some updates on that. And lastly, I really enjoy creating this show for you guys and this content. And honestly, these last few months have been truly a joy for me. And I'm just so grateful. And I'll never stop saying how grateful I am, because I want it to radiate through your screens and through your through your headphones rather. So with that being said, if you'd love to support the show, I would be so grateful so that we can continue to bring you new and free content. So with that being said, I have set up an account on Buy Me a Coffee. Don't know why I just said it like that. Sorry, I was not trying to do an accent. It just came out. Anyway, through this easy to use donation-based tool, you can support the podcast with monetary donations in increments of $5. So head on over to buymeacoffee.com/toss podcast. That is TOSS podcast. I truly appreciate your support. And I'm really sad I have to go, but bye for now, oldies.